All right. Okay. So I think we'll talk about the EE10 proposal that Ed Burns had sent the email about. Maybe in the second half, like to talk about um, the JPA failures and Scott Stock will be joining us a little bit later, and I'd like him to be present for the for the EE10 part to make sure we get his feedback as well. So at least that's what I'd like to do. So we have a glassfish issue 25190, and I think the underlying question is what do we have wrong in the JPA app client test that prevents the app client container from doing the Jindy lookup of the EJB session bean and being able to then call into the session bean, which is the vehicle runner, to actually run the test. And previously, we've fixed a lot of problems with class not found issues and deployment descriptors. So since that's the traditional cause, how does that come into play for a remote Jindy lookup that probably doesn't want to include the cause exception? Um, and if that's the case here, it seems like it should be a simple bug. I don't know where Jindy is handled in Glassfish and what have you, and it's a big assumption, but I assume that, we're just missing a log of the cause and it's just being thrown away. Big assumption, but I don't really know. No idea there. And so if anyone has, feedback on, further feedback on that, or if anyone thinks they'll take a look at it, at some point when they get to it, that's fine too. But I wanted to see if there were any, if there was any discussion to be had about that.
So I took a quick look at it, but it's not something that immediately stands out.
So just does now I know the app client component is considered to be a EE component, so it should be able to to look up in the comp env. Um, um, but you know, I don't think a different thread is being used, from the call stack, but that would be, like if for some reason we weren't using a managed thread, but we were using like some other thread, but I don't think that's the case. But just wanted to throw that out there as a possible issue that the, thread really isn't set up, to do the Jindy lookup maybe, but I guess that would be a bug too.
Yeah, you
Um,
should maybe see if you can run the test completely standalone. So just to rule out any um, app client connector issues, or like the Archillian connector protocol issue. Of course, that's typically some work to like recreate an application that does exactly the same as what the test is trying to do, and then try to run that standalone.
so now is it would it be pretty easy? I guess we're using, I don't know if it's M7, I forget now or
Yeah,
what.
it's probably M7, yeah.
So is it pretty easy to build Glassfish locally and then add some print or logging to
Yeah, of
code?
course. Um, I mean, normally, like in all the systems, it's Maven clean install. That's it.
Yep.
And
S-
there's some commands to make it build faster.
So I know we previously, we got the build to work on my machine. So in theory, we should be able to use a snapshot build of Glassfish. I just don't know if the Jindy lookup is in Glassfish or if it's in some other component. And I don't know how, deep the change is to add some debug code to print or ensure we got login in there. But that was yet another thing that could be done whenever we get to it, I guess.
Yeah, so I think the first thing would be to just simply debug Glassfish and see if there's some exceptions followed, if there's some logging missing, and then add it. But if you just want to find the root cause, of
Yeah.
course, debugging
Yep.
to the point where it would fail
Yeah.
could help too.
I don't recall now. I know. Yeah. We tried updating the Archillian app client XML to do debugging, and it just never seemed to work. And it may have been some confusion on my part, or well, clearly whatever I did wrong because we didn't succeed in being able to debug. But yeah, I guess when we get back to it, that would be the thing to do, to try. And I'm busy with something else for a bit, and but so maybe we can try debugging again.
Yeah, so
Um,
the server process would be easy enough to debug, like from the Achillean connector that starts the server process.
mhm.
That's basically just passing in, like I said in the Slack channel, the minus D glassfish.suspend option.
Is
And then
that
of
on?
course,
Yeah, that's on the Maven command line now. So that's going to get used when we launch the server. So that yeah,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah. So we'll
yeah.
try
So
that.
the
We'll
uh,
try that just to see that it gets the debugger going. I'll try that later on my machine just to verify that does indeed work in this case. So that would be great.
yeah, so there that option is picked up by the Achillean container connector. And then it switches glassfish into suspend mode when starting it up.
Let's see. Let me just paste that into the agenda because from the Slack room, we conversation, we said that. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Let's see. We should try plugin class fish. Yeah.
Looking at the stack trace, though, it really seems like the error is coming from the app client, not Glassfish itself.
Well,
I mean, the name not found is from the app client. That standard print, that logging output in the second comment,
mhm.
that's from the app client itself. That looks like where the name exception is happening.
Yeah, so obviously when you need to debug the client, that would mean that you need some configuration done to the Achillean protocol that starts the.
Correct. Correct.
And if it's not there, then of course it needs to be added.
It should be because it looks like, if I remember, I don't have it in front of me, but I remember looking at the Archillian XML or the app client dash Archillian XML, and it basically just launches a command, and it looks like it's launching a Java command. So you should be able to just add that to the command call options.
Yeah,
I have to
yeah,
look again, but it should be doable.
yeah. So if you already have something in place to add general commands to the Java startup, then
Yeah,
you could easily do that. It's a bit of a bulky command with the agent parameter and everything, but that should be doable.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't clear to me. I have no idea. It's like, it's exception resolve in EJB for remote. Yeah. Is
Yeah,
it?
it's the first one up there. So if you go a few lines up and you see that first, or no, back down to that
Oh,
stack trace. But it's like, I know it's hard to see. I think I'm going to
yeah.
submit a PR to kind of clean this stack trace stuff up because very much not readable.
Yeah.
But you can see that a little ways up, like I can't tell what line that is, but yeah, right there where your cursor is. That's the real failure right there. And if you go all the way to the side, it says the name can't be found, and that's in the app client.
Yeah, and of course you could still try to debug the server process to see like if anything even reaches it, if there's a command going out to the server.
Yeah.
But
Is there
that would be the
is
second
there a
step.
way in? Sorry, go ahead. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was done.
Okay, is there a way in Glassfish to like dump the JNDI like views? So I know like I haven't used it in a long time, but years ago there used to be a way to dump the JNDI view so you could kind of get a print of what it was.
I don't know from the top of my head, to be
That's
honest.
not a problem. I didn't know if there was.
I I don't remember what I did with it. I walked through the Jindy namespace from the app client side,
Mm-hmm.
and I printed out like the name, what the name value appears, and kind of like walk
Yeah.
through. And I, I I'll try and find that and put that in the issue, or
Okay.
I'll but it basically showed that the app, on the app client side there was, the well, what I expect to be the information that would be there was there, but what that means exactly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But let's see. I want to try and copy and paste this in again. Let's see. Control Shift V. There we go. So there's maybe in the, a little easier to read. Yeah, the lookup fails. Uh, but yeah, what does that mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, like this could be, it got to the server side and it was trying to do something with the bean and then got an exception, class not found exception. It
Right.
eats that exception and just throws back a generic exception that says, what we see, because it's, you know, from years ago, it was always problematic to include server side, too many server side classes and exceptions returned to a remote peer. So it's reasonable to eat the exception, but in this case, I'd really, really appreciate it if it was logged, printed to the console, one or the other. Um,
Yeah, but then
uh,
I would say that if you put a breakpoint in the code, if it's like coming from the server, this exception,
yeah, you find
uh,
out.
and
Yeah,
then you find out since like something is throwing something else, and then the
but
generic exception is being
but
returned instead, so that you should be able to see where it originates from.
yeah, the other thing is that if there's any usability issues finding class not found problems, we probably got, there's typically like a lot. There's been a lot of them that we've had to fix,
Yeah,
and we just, if we're hidden them, we want to see the error and just make the whole experience very productive for those trying to complete the test. And in theory, we should be able to quickly get through this, and we're not, because we just don't have the information that we need. So, but okay, yep. But yeah, so we'll try debugging this way and see what's going on. See if we can get something on the server. And yep, okay.
okay. Yeah, so for myself, I'm still working on the ECB 3.0 tests. So the 3.2, they went quite fast, but 3.0 has a lot of issues. So I did work through a lot of them. So most of them were just missing descriptive files, like application.xml was missing a couple of times. Wrong names for the descriptive files, so they were included with a different name. Mostly stuff like that. But I do have, I think, three, four tests that I can't figure out. Um,
I,
so
I I think we need to swap, you know, like you need to take a break from those three. And this is what I've been thinking lately. You need to take
Yeah,
a break, let someone else look at them, and then maybe you look at the JPA ones. That's something I've noticed as a team, we're not really doing enough of. It, and it's bad because I'm looking at something I should see, but it's like finding missing words in my email that I send out. I don't see the word that's missing because I keep saying it in my head. But
yeah,
it's the same kind of thing, and someone fresh might see it that you're missing, and that was just one observation I had, for myself. I was just I've been staring at the app client failures and just, someone else might say, oh yeah, you're missing a deployment descriptor. And
yeah. It could well be. Like in my case, I also wanted to ask somebody else to look at it. So maybe from Omnifish, maybe somebody from the TCK team, to just have a different look at it. So to summarize, there are three main failures. So one failure is about a interceptor that should join the ongoing log of a singleton bean, but apparently the interceptor doesn't join the log. So like there's a computation being done in the interceptor, but it like adds a bunch of numbers, and then if the log works, then the number should be a specific one, but it's not. So it's always a random number. Different threads are doing that, so the outcome is random. So apparently the log does not work.
you,
Um,
you probably did this already, and you probably picked up the same thing. But one thing that I've been doing to help me get through problems like that, or like I've hit with JPA for other cases, is just looking back at the EE10
yeah,
test. I try and take a look at the binary, the year, or the whatever the deployment is, the war, um, and compare to what we're doing in shrink wrap to that, and like look for, missing deployment descriptors. I'm not saying it's that, but just to throw it out there or to
yeah,
share what helped me in general is trying to compare 10 to 11 in that way, because a lot of times it's just, yeah, we missed
yeah.
something.
It's like
But
that indeed. So I haven't done this yet for this particular test, since like the everything is in annotations. The interceptor is called, so it does attach to the method it's intercepting. It's just not participating in the log. So um, for I forgot whether with EGB interceptors that is always the case, but I think it is the case that like an interceptor joins like in the ongoing transaction, it joins the ongoing log, and so it comes after the default interceptors, which do the logging and the transaction. So that's the weird thing, and I was trying to see if this particular test might have been excluded in the EE10 run, but I couldn't find anything for that. I think there are none of the EGB tests which are excluded. So it's a bit weird. And there's one other test that's a bit like that as well. It's also like a functional thing that somehow doesn't work. And the third one, I mentioned that on the Slack, is about the two vars that are being deployed. The tests are actually called, or is actually called, two vars. One is in an enterprise archive, the other one is a standalone var. And the test runner tries to get a context, a deployment context, and that deployment context is not found as soon as you deploy two vars. And so then the test runner can't find a host, so like a local host or something, and then you get like a null pointer exception a bit later on. This
Now, is that not, does that have anything to do with like the remote log? The the
now
the host lookup? Okay, so it's not like a host check that has to do with the remote log. And okay, all right.
no, I think it's just that like in the original test where things were deployed using AND, there was no issue with this because
Uh,
um, the host parameter was just configured in a file. But in this case, the host and the port has to come back from Archillion, and seemingly Archillion has no support for 2 vars. I mean, it has support for that in the fact that it can deploy it, but then the test runner bit that chooses between local and remote deployments, or executors, I have to say, that one doesn't work then.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, we need to deploy the vehicle that's going to be used and then call it. And that would be, running, running the vehicle in one of the wars. Is it is it, is it part of the war in the servlet, or, I mean, sorry, the war in the air or the standalone servlet? I don't know. Yeah, not sure. We can look at the EE10 ER and standalone war and just see which one has the vehicle classes. They're probably in both, maybe, but yeah, we could probably tell which one is actually being used, or maybe it's only in one to,
Yeah, I think from the top of my head, it's only the ear. So the purpose of the test is that, from the top of my head, that one of the additional var is being deployed. It configures a data source, two of them actually. One is in application scope and the other is in global scope. And then the global scope data source should be visible from the ear because global is shared between all the deployments. And of course, the local app scoped data source should not be visible. So it's factually testing Java colon global. So that's the real purpose of the test. And the other var is only used to do that um, definition of the two data sources. It does not contain any test files. But then
okay.
as soon as you deploy the other var, then Archillion gets confused or so. It doesn't support um, returning this deployment context anymore because it obviously doesn't know which one to return. But I'm not really sure because we do have other tests that do deploy two things, but then the other thing is always a jar.
I see. I think I see what you're saying now. Because so basically, the war that doesn't return any kind of context basically is not a test war, so to speak.
Yeah, but then I think, or I'm not sure, by the exception in which context of the two it actually fails because
Okay,
um, at some point you get like a test executor, and then
if
the
I
test
remember.
executor makes a choice between like a local test executor and a remote one, and it does this based on a deployment, but it checks the deployment if it has like this testable is false thing,
Uh
and if
huh.
it's testable false, it's local. If not, it's remote.
Yeah, well, what the testable? That's basically what it means. But I wonder, did you try changing both of them to like testable equals true just to see if it did anything?
Yeah, I
Okay,
did.
I assumed you probably did.
Yeah, I did. So I did. I have to repeat it just to be sure that I didn't miss the combination, but I did
Okay,
set them both to that. But I'm absolutely sure I need to redo it, but I'm fairly sure I tried with the separate var file to switch
okay.
it, because as
One,
soon as you add the separate var file, it starts failing.
huh, it's interesting. I mean, it really should work. Like I know, like at least in Wildfly, we have several tests that deploy multiple deployments. Whether we do have one that specifically does this, I don't know, but I know we definitely have ones that deploy multiple deployments, so it should work. But that's what I want. There must be some like weird thing that's making it do that.
Yeah, I'm also quite confused about that. And of course, if I looked further into how Archillian gets this deployment context in the first place and why it would not work in this particular case, it might reveal what the issue is, but that would take a lot of time and debugging.
Right, right. Yeah, and Archillian is not easy to debug.
It's not that easy now, indeed. I tried it before.
That observer pattern is definitely in effect there.
Yeah, yeah. So that makes it difficult. Like it's maybe
Yeah,
like the reactive pattern stuff, and this is of course not
exactly.
reactive, but it's a little bit like that, and it makes it quite difficult to see what's going on and also to debug.
Yeah, I'll have to look back. I remember seeing some of this on chat, so I'll have to look back through that again and see if there's any way I could try to reproduce this.
Yeah, so yeah, it's hard to say. Like there are definitely other tests that use multiple deployments, like the deployment and the target
Right.
deployment thing that's being used. But as far as I can see, they're all doing like an ear and a jar file, and then the second deployment for some reason works. It's only when the second deployment is a var file
Yeah,
that it
that's
fails.
okay. So, I'll see if I can create something with an ear and a war and just see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
And do you have a I mean I've seen a lot of pull requests and it do you have all your latest changes in a pull request or merged in, Aria?
Yeah, yeah. So they're mostly merged in. I do have one outstanding change. Um, so that's like I'm also working, or I had been working, it's already in the source code of ClassFish to initialize the database directly from the from ClassFish, so you don't need to do the end code for that. So that's only local, that's not committed yet, but I was using that in the tests already. So that makes it a bit difficult to commit that part. But otherwise, yeah, all the changes are there. But I could see if I can commit that individually, because that's basically just creating the resources. So there were like a few resources missing, like a queue had to be created for JMS and a connection factory, and some tests depended on that. So that was also some of the missing things in the runner.
So I'd say we all need to create issues for the remaining problems like the three failures maybe for that kind of like makes it easier for someone else to take a look. And like in
Yeah,
terms of like if there's like a command line way to run those three tests or update the Maven POM, which is fine as well. That would be anything that helps them get up to speed quickly with just running the test so they can recreate it easily and see the same failure would probably be helpful. And
yeah,
I should do the same as well, of course. I created the glassfish issue, which is a start, and we'll see where it goes from there. But all right.
yeah. So I can quickly just what happened to have them on my screen. Oh no, the chat is a bit restricted here, so I can't. I was trying to copy paste in the chat, but I can't do that. It's too big, it says.
Can you update the agenda? Do I need to share it
Oh
with
yeah,
you? Oh, okay. I mean,
just
you can just paste right into the agenda. I'd say whatever you want to put in
yeah, yeah. So
chat.
I was trying to chat, but the agenda might be easier to use for that. Let's see. TCK code, agenda. Okay. Oh yeah, so put it right here. Oh, I'm still hope this works.
Hey, while you do that, go ahead and paste, but maybe we can move on to the next.
Yeah, so I did have permissions before, I think, but now
Oh,
I'm in
uh,
suggesting mode. I can't.
maybe it's your account. Maybe I think it's I could I can share share with you whatever your account you're using. Maybe it's a different one.
Yeah, so this one is. Oh, yeah, I can just ask permission, perhaps. Do I have that? No. Sometimes.
Yeah, if you ask for them, we'll just give make sure you have it for for next time. But
Yeah, so
yeah,
for some reason I don't see it. Um,
that's all right. Let just
okay, because
ping me on Slack and we can make
yeah,
sure that's sorted out. But
yeah, we can
let's
look at that next time. So, but yeah, so there's a bunch of those tests, and of course, like every test has like 4 or 5 subtests. So the actual failures are just like 3 or 4. So when you fix those 3 or 4, that would probably fix them all. Um, so yeah, it's a bit weird. Oh yeah, the other one that was failing for some reason is it tries to find like the name of the application that you put into application.xml, and it looks it up as something like Java colon app/app name, something like that, and it doesn't find that name. So this could be a bug in ClassFish, you would say. But then the test seemingly passed with ClassFish 7 before, otherwise we could not have passed the TCK. And so I'm a bit curious why that one failed, but I may have to compare it with the EE10 run to see what's going on.
so, now does EE10 pass the TCK test with Glassfish 8, or do we have to use 11?
Well, I did try it, but it failed on some trivial thing that the EE10 TCK in the Glassfish configuration, it tries to start or find Glassfish on the Glassfish 7
Yep.
folder.
Okay.
It's actually in Glassfish 8 if you use Glassfish 8. So it probably needs to be configured somewhere for the other folder, but I
Yeah, we
haven't.
need a hack in there just to, if it sees 8, rename it to 7 or something, or copy it or whatever. Something simple like that would be, just so that we can, run those, run the test if we want to, but
Yeah, and
under a
otherwise,
different name.
we would have to repackage Glassfish 8 to have the Glassfish 7 name there as the folder. That could maybe also be an option, but then maybe other things would fail because they would expect things to be at Glassfish 8 and not 7.
Yeah, it'd
So
be nice to do it in the CI jobs, maybe, download the Glassfish 8 and then extract it and rename it and then repackage it if needed and then export the variable to point at that updated, zip or whatever. But
something like that, yes. It's
yeah,
quite a trivial failure because the tests did not even start to run,
yep.
um, as they all
Okay.
failed
All
just
right.
at that point.
That's fine. It just me, yeah. That was something I was just wondering about, but all right, we only have 25 minutes left. So is there anything else before we talk about the Ed Burns email proposal stuff?
Did you go over did you go over the priority list?
No.
I would take a look at that to make sure, because so we have two other buckets that are not assigned, no one is assigned to the JMS, I'm sorry, the EGB 3.2, and then the connectors module are the next two biggest modules. I said sorry, Ariane. Allwin had gotten the JMS pretty much done, which is great. Allwin, that was great.
Yeah, yeah. We still have around 200 or I think more than 200 test failures, which I'm
Oh, okay.
currently looking at.
Yeah, so at the top there is the EGB32.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, there is a
Uh,
PR. Whose PR is that?
E EJB32, I think Aryan has already done. I think it's part of
Um,
the module that is created. But I think the
ah,
app client tests in EJB32, I don't know, Aryan.
And no, it's
Um,
only the Java test at the
okay.
moment. The app client is not there yet.
okay, okay.
I think that row can be updated with the test passing count. I think the number of tests for EJB32 is 682 when
Okay,
I
okay,
checked
that's
last.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I mean, when I get through my stuff, then I can shift back to the app client stuff on that. I got the JPA tests, JPA CDI stuff to do. Um, I think that's I think that's it right now.
Let's see.
Because the CDI EE TCK is passing everything but one test under Glassfish 8.
Oh, that's great. Is that where is that? Oh, CDI. Um, oh, okay. So eight. Yep. Yep. Wow, that's really close.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of like some simple thing. But I was going to do a milestone release of that, so other vendors can double check it and make sure. Because I'm not positive that the instructions are completely up to date. So that would be one thing for somebody to double check that it's actually comprehensive user guide, because I had to port that over from what we had in CDI 4.0 and update it. So make sure I didn't miss anything.
Um, we have a yeah we have some different implementations in the call. I'm just curious, does everyone run with Derby, or do others certify against other databases?
We use Derby and Open Liberty.
Oh, nice. Okay. Because I've yet to see anyone run with something different than Derby, which is fine. And I think, I think if I understand correctly, um, someone could change to a different database, but I may be wrong about that, and we may need more for that. I know we don't have something to auto start contain various containers, like we talked about having actual support for doing things like that. We definitely don't have that, but I just didn't know if the hooks are in for people to update I mean, in their app server config, of course, they can just add data sources for whatever databases, but I think there's more to it than that. But anyways, yeah, I just didn't know if there's any non-Derby users looking to test it. And it sounds like for this group, we're okay with Derby, so it's good to know. All right. Oh, was there anything else on the priority list, Scott, that you wanted to? You said, is there? So we need to. Let's see, ready to assign ones. Let's see. So EJB32 should be assigned to should be, let's see, where is it? Where? Oh, I guess over here. So that's going to be, oh, here it is. There you go. Okay, so it's EGB32 until someone else takes a look at them, just so that it's assigned. Um, then, okay, yeah, servlet is servlet on? I mean, servlet is moved out, so I don't think there is any servlet, is there?
Hello, I lost my connection for a bit there.
So in the priority list, let's see. So migrate servlet TCK test to meet the platform. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I don't think there is anything. I don't think there is a servlet test bucket anymore. Let me just take a quick look. Okay, there is.
Yeah, I think that's fragments that just needs to get deleted or.
Okay. Probably. In which case we would need to just make it a requirement to run the refactored servlet TCK that's now part of the servlet spec, which does support EE deployment, via web, on platform and web. So
yeah, and every other module is already testing integration with servlet.
yeah, yep. So do we want to? So I guess that's open for someone to delete those tests, just to clear it out. So it's still whoever has time to work on that, I guess. That would be the thing to do there, I think. And
And can we just merge your managed bean PR, Brian?
Sorry, looking for the right window. Yes, although it may have a merge conflict now, since I know Ariane had put in some stuff in some packages that I then remove in my PR.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, no, I was basically looking for someone to make sure it worked with Glassfish, and if you just want to merge it and work from there, that works for me. So
yeah, probably easiest at this point.
Yep. So there is one more test that still has a managed bean reference that I did not clean up, and I haven't circled back to try to figure out the right way. It's in the app client bucket.
Oh, okay. We'll just worry about that later then.
Yeah. It could probably it can definitely just be removed from the test, and the rest of the test can be left as it is, but it could potentially be replaced with some logical equivalent that's not a managed bean.
Right. Okay.
Preserve some test function there. So, yeah.
I think we removed Security Manager from the TCK already.
Have we?
I thought we did.
No, it's definitely not all gone. I was just looking at something.
Yeah.
So in the connector bit, there's definitely some permissions XML stuff that's still in there.
Oh, okay, good. So we should, so that's definitely, I guess should be ready to assign. Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anywhere else. I know there was stuff in EJB 3.0, but that got removed a while back. Not sure if there's anything else.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it is ready to assign. I guess it's, let's see. That's yeah, I guess that would be blocker or high. No, I guess refactoring. I guess that's refactoring would be a good place for it to go. Okay. so, okay, 15 minutes left. Let's see. So, yeah, there's a proposal that I think everyone has heard about already now, that you know, to um, you know, make the change to stop refactoring TCK tests and instead reuse the EE10, the equivalent EE10 tests instead. And I think the concern that was raised, if I understood correctly in the platform call about that, is we don't really know if that's time worth spending, and versus just completing the refactoring. I think was a concern that was raised. But still, Ed Burns asked if we could get behind the proposal, and that.
Well, for me, the only thing that makes sense in that context would be to look at, is it worth doing for JPA? Because that's clearly our most problematic module.
Yep.
But the problem is how much new function, how many are there new integration tests in JPA, or is it all isolated to the standalone version?
So yeah, so it's there's a lot of there's a lot of integration in that. It runs on in the EJP container, and servlet container. The standalone,
Right, but are the new feature, are there new tests for new features integration, or is that all
no,
okay?
because I think that there were some new tests that were added, but it didn't get caught. Those didn't get refactored in our refactoring wave. And we just, so it's all the existing tests. And like there's some tests, there's like a small subset of tests that are unique to EE as well, like extended persistence contexts aren't tested in the components persistence spec, because it's only
Right, sure.
so it's an EJB feature,
Yeah.
really stateful beans only. And so there's a small subset of features like that. And then there's like another, there's like various quality checks that are nice, like the app client tests that call into into actually no, I think those are I think those are actually covered in servlet, so never mind. I think the servlet vehicle, I was going to say the one that where I think the servlet starts a transaction and every call into the EJB bean is on a different thread, via a remote EJB bean call, and that's a nice test because it's but I think we would already be hidden that. So yeah, they're all app client tests, and
So that would
nothing
be the
new.
only focus I would have, is can that be done? Because if that can't be done, then this is kind of a moot point. If we can't run, if we couldn't use the JPA test from EE10, then this is a moot point. Because again, that's the biggest chunk of tests that we have to validate that we don't have done. And that's certainly the most ambiguous or unclear what it's going to take to complete that refactoring at this point.
Yeah, we need some we basically we ran over the weekend we tried running the CI job, the EE10 CI job, to run the JPA test, app client test against Glassfish 8, and we got a stupid failure because the Glassfish folder wasn't called Glassfish 7. So we probably need like a CI job change to
Yeah,
to
sure.
to download the 8 archive, extract it, rename the folder, and then repackage it, and then kind of slip that in, or make it possible to work with Glassfish followed by any number, one or the other, in the
Yeah,
runner or
right.
whatever. But we probably wouldn't. I guess we're using the EE10 runner, the runner checked into 10, so we probably wouldn't want to change the code for that. So maybe just repackage 8 as 7, and make that available for the run, I guess, somehow. I guess, and then we'll get the answer, and then I think that's some, then we'll have that information, and then we could, I guess, proceed with with it. And I just wanted to see if there are any other specifics other than that. I mean, Will Lyons, wanted to state that, um, um, 12, 11 dot something or EE12, will ensure that we don't reuse EE10 TCK. Again, that we don't just get stuck with those tests forever. And that we continue the refactoring, I guess, for 12.
Yeah, so what's Will saying? Oracle one approval plan does not include a plan to deliver a version of 11 that does not require.
So the first deliverable after 11 would be like 11.1 or 12, or 12.0. And he's just saying, that we will complete the refactoring, even if we don't complete it for 11, whatever comes after 11.0, we commit to completing the refactoring. And there's been some cases where we've done this before, and the teams have been just too busy with other work, and they just don't get to complete the refactoring once they've already have done the legacy, used the legacy tests with the refactored tests idea, and they teams haven't had time to go back in future releases to address that. And I think that was what he's just asking that we commit to that.
Is that what he's saying? Because I'm having a hard time parsing what he's saying.
I think Will Lyons clarified it in an email. He was trying to send it to the mailing group, but he asked me to forward it to the mailing group. I think he was talking about he was probably not talking about the 10 plus 11 approach. He was more specifying about the compatible implementation and the word ratifying compatible implementation mostly. So maybe I think we should let Reliance clarify more on that. I'm not sure if this is what exactly he meant.
Is there an email that I missed?
Yes, he just sent it, I think, in the last 30 minutes. So I forwarded to the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I didn't. Yeah, we've been talking in meetings, so I don't think anyone has seen that otherwise. But do you want to paste? Is there any additional context you want to paste in from that email that would help?
Yeah, sure.
So please do, and then we can consider that. But regardless, look, either we commit to completing the refactoring, or we agree with this compromise, which is, to me, it's like low hanging fruit, as long as it's an easy thing to do, but we do pay the price for those that run TCK tests, that we have to deal with ants, for a longer period of time, with 11. And it's definitely, that, something we didn't want to do, but um,
Well,
if
I'm looking at his email, and his concern is about ratifying, just using an apparent distinction between ratifying and compatible implementation. His concern is that the ratifying implementation has different rules than any other following compatible implementation. So that's really his concern.
Okay, so we have 3 minutes left, and so should we discuss, I guess, on email? Okay, well, here's the paste now. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean the other problem with this double approach is, I mean, right now the TCK rules, process rules, really don't allow for fixing tests in the sense that we are going to be doing it. We're working on a new implementation of the test in a different test harness. Like, let's say in a month, 2 months, the JPA tests are working. I mean, technically, I don't think that fits under the auspices of a service release in the current TCK process. I mean, that would be another point to bring up is, you know, is this basically just locking the EE11 on service releases that are can continue to, or, and maybe this is also part of his concern is JPA is then locked on the EE10 version and any new changes have to go into EE12 or what?
Yeah, I mean, that's a certainly, I mean, that's a valid concern, that, once we complete, we don't really want to make test changes, although the TCK process does allow, for certain types of tests to be made at the specification team. I think in this case, the platform specification more than the persistence specification.
Right, but I'd have a
But
hard time justifying that switching the entire test harness out is falls under our current definition.
yeah, that would be, I mean, it's a really slippery slope, because, basically, if you do make a change that you shouldn't have made, that you find out after that service release that you shouldn't have made it for whatever reason, your only choice at that point is to exclude it, and you can end up just excluding, like all the app client tests, because they have some flaw, because they require, EE10 tests that uh, yeah, you know, need a technology that we removed, just for, hypothetical example.
Yeah, but certainly the biggest challenge to this proposal is, can JPA actually work under this? Because if it can't, then again, I'll go back to, I don't see why we can't do a milestone release, have the core profile out, and it looks like we should have virtually everything running except maybe JPA. So
Yeah, so just do a milestone release of that, and then continue on. And so yeah, in the first half of this call, we talked about debugging the Glassfish app client, or server process, to get to learn more. But now we're going over. But
so I mean, what's is there a way to finish the non-app client test, or is that what's left?
I don't even know where we are. I think we had around 100 failures left, and they were all like, it was just like a set of class not found or deployment descriptor type problems. And I think Alwyn or Guru did some work and fixed some of them. Or maybe not. I don't know. I may remember wrong. So we might be lower. Might have fewer than 100 now, but I
And
didn't.
that's for the Java test protocol?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
But those were like, okay, we fixed a bunch of them. The ones that were remaining probably aren't that hard, although there was some problems in the schema, I think, all the wrong, some incorrect table definitions being used. But I think we fixed some of those, but there may be a few of, there may be a mix of those as well.
So
Like
the bulk of the JPA tests are app client based tests?
the bulk of them are app client tests that we need to address. And then I think the remaining Java test ones, they are so class not found, deployment descriptor, or setup cleanup was the other category. There was another, it was a third category, like the wrong setup cleanup code being wired in and just getting the right yeah
Yeah.
the right setup code in use. So
Okay.
it's like those three things, and it just
Well,
that's
maybe,
we could focus on those and fix those.
right. So then the question is, maybe, is there a way to run just the JPA test against app client in the EE10 Java test module?
Yes, yeah. I don't think it's going to be too hard to come up with a way to do that. Basically, probably would basically would come up with a script probably to do something like exclude all, or we either remove vehicle, like don't use, make sure the other vehicles aren't used,
Well,
some
there's certainly,
change.
yeah, there certainly is a Java test harness notion of there's a vehicle override that you can certainly specify. So uh, I don't know if we've ever used it though. That's the question.
I think like the worst case, we can update we can write code to to update the exclude file,
Yeah.
in a run, and then take the output of that and use that excludes all of the non-JPA tests. And that would
Yeah.
be like the worst case. But I think there should be an easier way, to
Yeah.
do it. But
If you're talking about running the JPA using the E10 TCK for the app client test, I think we can update the vehicle properties to only include the app client vehicles like app managed. I think that will serve the purpose.
yep, good. Yeah, good call. Yep.
Yeah. So I guess that would be the priority on deciding whether or not this is even viable. Because again, if that can't get running, then this is kind of a non-starter.
Yeah, from a CI perspective, in the CI run I did, I just specified in the build parameter, to only run the JPA app client vehicle test. So it's at that level, it was easy to say ignore the other tests and only run those. But
Okay. Well,
it
then
didn't but it didn't run, of course. But
right, because the other
but
yeah, okay.
we have to do other changes to get that to run. So
Yeah, well, I think that has to be the focus until we know the answer to that question.
yep, um, that makes sense. And we're 6 minutes over. Is there anything else, or can we? I guess we're going to conclude that we just don't have an answer yet until we do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.